Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are doing challenges of cultural diversity. Okay, so let's start. Now we know that different kinds of people, ranging from different kinds of social institutions, ranging from family to market, can bring people together. Fine, create strong collective identities and strengthen the social cohesion. Oh my God, what is happening? Mhm. Okay, so the term diversity, now we have to understand the term diversity emphasizes differences rather than inequalities. Okay? When we say that India is a nation of great cultural diversity, we mean that here are many types of the social groups and communities living here. Okay? These are communities defined by cultural makers such as language, religion, sect, race, or caste. Okay, so when these diverse communities are also a part of larger entity like a nation, then differences may be created by competition or conflict between them. That is why cultural diversity can present tough challenges as well. Fine. Cultural differences are accompanied by economic and social inequalities also, and this further complicates things. Okay, let's start with the first thing. The importance of community identity. Okay, you know your identity is important for you, right? You have to answer several questions about who am I, how different am I from others. So our community also provides a community also follows some kind of same similar pattern. Okay, so the socialization process involves a continuous dialogue, negotiation, and even struggle against significant others. Okay, our community provides us the language and the cultural values through which we comprehend the world. It also anchors our self identity. So community identity is based on birth and belonging rather than one some form of acquired qualifications or accomplishment. It is what we are rather than what we have become. Okay, we don't have to do anything to be born into a community. In fact, no one has any choice about which family or community they are being born into. These kinds of identities are called ascriptive identity. Okay? Ascriptive identity. The identity that you get by birth, that are determined by birth and do not involve any choice on the part of individuals concerned. It is an odd fact of social life that people feel a deep sense of security and satisfaction in belonging to communities in which their membership is entirely accidental. Okay? So we often identify so strongly with communities that nothing we have not, nothing to deserve, nothing to deserve. This is nothing. Okay, passed, no exam demonstrated, no skill or competence. ठीक है, this is very unlike belonging to say a professional team. ठीक है, अच्छा. So in our membership in our family or religious or religion communities without precondition and it is total. ठीक है, so most ascriptive identities are again very hard to shake off. Even if we choose to disown them, others may continue to identify us by those makers of markers of belonging. So perhaps it is because of this accidental, unconditional, and yet almost inescapable belonging that can be often we are so emotionally attached to our community identity. Expanding and overlapping circles of community ties, family, kinship, caste, ethnicity, language, religion, region give meaning to our world and give us a sense of identity of who we are. That is why people often react emotionally or even violently whenever there is a perceived threat to their community identity. A second feature of ascriptive identity and community feeling is that they are universal. Everyone has a motherland, a mother tongue, a family, of faith. This may not necessarily be strictly true for every individual, but it is true in a general sense. And we are all equally committed and loyal to our respective identities. Once again, it is possible to come across people who may not be particularly committed to one or more aspects of their identity, but possibility of this commitment is potentially available to most people because of the conflicts that involve our communities are very hard to deal with. Each side in the conflict thinks of the other side as a hated enemy, and there is a tendency to exaggerate the virtues of one's own side as well as the vices of other side. Fine. So when there are two nations at war, patriots in each nation see the other country as the enemy aggressor. For example, India Pakistan की जब लड़ाई होगी, तो Indians will consider Pakistani people to be the enemies, right? Because every country believes that the God and the truth is on their side. Acha. Communities, nations, and nation states. At the simplest level, a nation is a sort of large scale community. It is a community of communities. Members of a nation share the desire to be part of the same political collectivity. This desire for political unit usually expresses itself as the aspiration to form a state. Okay? In its most general sense, the term state refers to an abstract entity consisting of a set of political legal institutions claiming control over particularly geographical territory and the people living in it. Okay? Max Weber's well-known definition defines state as a body that successfully claims a monopoly of legitimate force in a particular territory. So a nation becomes a peculiar sort of community that is easy to describe but hard to define. Fine. So We know and can describe specific nations we found on the basis of common culture, historical and political institutions like shared religion, language, ethnicity, history, or regional culture. But again, it is very hard to come up with any defining characteristics that a nation must possess. For example, every possess possible criteria, there are exceptions and counter examples also. There are many nations that do not share a single common language, like India, religion, ethnicity, and so on. But this does not lead to formation of a single unified of nation as well, right? For example, all English speakers or Buddhists. So, how can we distinguish a nation from other kinds of communities, such as an ethnic community or a religious community or a regionally defined community? Conceptually, there seems to be no hard distinction. Any of the other types of community can one day form a nation. Conversely, no particular kind of community can be guaranteed to form a nation. The criteria that comes closest to distinguish a nation is the state. Unlike the other kinds of communities mentioned before, nations are communities that have a state of their own. That is why the two are joined with a hyphen to form the term nation state. Okay? Generally speaking, in recent times, there has been a one-to-one bond between nation and state. One nation, one state, one nation, one state, one nation. But this is a new development. It was not true in the past that a single state could represent only one nation. Not every nation must have its own state. For example, Soviet Union explicitly recognized the peoples it governed were of different nations and more than one such internal nationalities were recognized. Okay? Similarly, people constituting a nation may actually be citizens or residents of different states. For example, there are more Jamaicans living outside Jamaica than living in Jamaica. That is, population of non-resident Jamaicans exceed that of resident Jamaicans. Another example is of dual citizenship laws allow citizens of a particular state to also simultaneously be citizens of another state. Example, Jewish Americans may citizens of Israel as well as of USA as well. So they can even serve in the armed forces of one country without losing their citizenship in the other country. In short, today it is hard to define a nation in any way other than to say it is a community that has succeeded in acquiring a state of its own. The opposite has also become increasingly true, just as it would be, or aspiring nationalities are more and more likely to work towards forming a state. Existing states are also finding it more and more necessary to claim that they represent a nation. One of the main characteristics of modern era is the establishment of democracy and nationalism as dominant forces of political legitimacy. This means that today the nation is the most accepted of proper justification for a state, while the people and the ultimate source of legitimacy of the nation. See, the state needs the nation as much as even more than the nations need state. But as we have seen in the preceding paragraphs, that there is no historically fixed or logically necessary relationship between a nation state that and the varied forms of community that it could be based on. Okay? So this means that there is no predetermined answer to this question. Acha. Threatened by community identity, states try to eliminate cultural diversity. Dekho. Historically, states have tried to establish and enhance their political legitimacy through nation building strategies. They sought to secure loyalty and obedience of their citizens through policies of assimilation or integration. Attaining these objectives were definitely not easy for them, especially in a context जहाँ पे cultural diversity जो थी वो काफी हद तक ज्यादा थी. But citizens, in addition to their identifications with their country, might also feel a strong sense of identity with their community, be it in its ethnic, religious, linguistic, and so on. Okay, let me drink water. Right. Most states feared that recognition of such differences, concept differences, ethnic, religious, linguistic, and so on differences, would lead to social fragmentation and prevent the creation of a harmonious society. In short, such identity politics was considered a threat to state unity. In addition, accommodating these differences is politically challenging also. So many states started to resort to either suppressing these diverse identities or ignoring them on political dimension. The policies of assimilation often involve outrighting suppression of the identities of ethnic, religious, or linguistic groups, trying to erode the cultural differences between the groups. Policies of integration seek to assert a single national identity by attempting to eliminate ethno-national and cultural differences from the public and political arena while allowing them in the private domain. अब ये जो दोनों है policy of assimilation and policy of national integration assume a singular national identity. Assimilationist and integrationist strategies try to establish singular national identities through various interventions like centralizing all power to forums where dominant groups constitute a majority and eliminate the autonomy of local or minority groups, imposing a unified legal and judicial system based on the dominant group's traditions, and abolishing alternative systems used by the other groups. ठीक है. तीसरा is adopting the dominant group's language as the only official national language and making it used mandatory in all public institutions. Fourth, promotion of dominant groups' language and culture through national institutions, including state-controlled media and educational institutions. Fifth, adoption of state symbols celebrating a dominant group's history, heroes, and culture, reflected in such things as choice as national holidays or naming of states. Seizure of lands, forests, and fisheries from minority groups and indigenous people, declaring them as natural resources. Acha. Come here. So, UN Development, United Nations Development Program, UNDP report of 2004 on culture and democracy shows that most states have generally been suspicious of cultural diversity and have tried to reduce or eliminate it. Okay? There have been successful examples as well, including India, which has shown that it is perfectly possible to form a strong nation state without having to homogenize different types of community. Okay? Speaking of assimilationist and integrationist policies that we just did, policies that promote assimilation are aimed at persuading, encouraging, or forcing all citizens to adopt a uniform set of cultural values and norms. These values and norms are usually entirely or largely those of the dominant social group. Other non-dominant or subordinated groups in society are expected to require to give up their own cultural values and adopt the prescribed ones. Kiske prescribed ones? The dominant ones. Okay? Then policies promoting the integration one are different in style, but not an overall objective, because उनका भी मानना यही है that public culture should be restricted to a common national pattern, while all non-national cultures are to be regulated in the private sphere. In this case too, there is the case danger of the dominant group's culture being treated as a national culture. So you can see the problem by now, that there is no necessary relationship between any specific form of community and the modern form of any state. Any of the basis of community identity like language, religion, ethnicity, and so on may or may not lead to nation formation. ठीक है? There are no guarantees, but because community identities can act as the basis of nation formation, already existing states see all forms of community identity as dangerous rivals. That is why states generally tend to favor a single homogeneous national identity in the hope of being able to control and manage it. However, suppressing cultural diversity can be very costly in terms of alienation of the minority or subordinated communities whose culture is treated as non-national. So, moreover, the very act of suppression can also provoke opposite effect of intensifying community identity. फिर उनके अंदर वो जो minority community है उनके अंदर एक nationalist की भावना आएगी, and they will start to revolt against this thing, and they will start to demand for a separate nation. ठीक है? For example, if you heard about the Sri Lankan Sinhala and the Tamil conflict, then you must know this thing. ठीक है? That's a good example of this. अच्छा. Cultural diversity and India as a nation state. Indian nation state is socially and culturally one of the most diverse countries in the world, right? It has a population of about 1.2 billion people. Of course, it's very low. According to the census of 2011, currently now ये है 2006-2007 का reprint. Why is it this saying second largest? ठीक है? It is actually largest, but क्योंकि 2011 का census है, तो that is why उस हिसाब से it was second largest only. These billion plus people speak about 1,632 languages and dialects. 22 of these languages have been officially recognized and placed under the 8th schedule of the Constitution, thus guaranteeing their legal status. In terms of religion, about 80% of the population are Hindus, who in turn are regionally specific, plural, and beliefs and practices are divided by caste and languages. 14.2% are Muslims, and second largest Muslim country after Indonesia and Pakistan. Other major religious communities are Christians, 22.3%, 1.67% Sikh, Buddhist 0.7%, and Jain 0.4%. ठीक, एक बार वापस करो. 80 Hindus, 14.2% Muslims. Christians are how much? 2.3% Christians. नहीं, हाँ, Sikhs are about 1.7% Sikhs. Buddhists about 0.7%. And Jain about 0.4% are Jain. ठीक है? Acha. Because India's huge population, these small percentages can also add up to large absolute numbers. In terms of nation states' relationship with community identities, the Indian case fits neither assimilationist nor the integrationist model. क्यों? UK, independent nation, Indian nation state has ruled out an assimilationist model. The demand for such a model has been expressed by some sections of the dominant Hindu community, although national integration is a constant theme in state policy. India has not been integrationist in that way. The box that you just read about, okay? The constitution declares the state to be a secular state, but religion, language, and other such factors are not banished from the public sphere. These communities have been explicitly recognized by the state. By international standards, very strong constitutional protection is offered to minority religion. India's problems have been more in the sphere of implementation and practicing rather than laws or principles. But on the whole, it can be considered a good example of state nation, though it is not entirely free from the problems common to nation states. Okay, coming back to this paragraph, what does this paragraph talk about? It talks about national unity with cultural diversity, building a democratic state nation. ठीक है. Alternate to nation state, then is the state nation, जो India है. This is India, where various nations, be they ethnic, religious, linguistic, indigenous, can coexist peacefully and cooperatively in a single state qualities. ठीक है. Case studies and analysis demonstrates that enduring democracies can be established in policies that are multicultural. Explicit efforts are required to end the cultural exclusion of diverse groups and to build multiple and complementary identities. Such responsive policies provide incentives to build a feeling of unity and diversity and a we feeling. Taken, citizens can find institutional and political space to identify with both their country and their cultural identities, to build the trust in common institutions, and to participate in and support the democratic politics. All these are key factors in consolidating what? Deepening democracies, building, ensuring state nations. India's constitution incorporates this notion, although India's culturally diverse comparative surveys of long-standing democracies, including India, show that it has been very cohesive despite its diversity. But modern India is facing a grave challenge to its constitutional commitment to multiple complementary identities with the rise of groups that seek to impose a singular Hindu identity. तो आज का ये हिंदुत्व नॉर्म चल रहा है कि हम अपने देश को हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाएंगे, that is also coming across a major threat to our diversity. ठीक. These threats undermine the sense of an inclusion and violation of the rights of minorities. Recent communal violence raised serious concerns for the prospects of social harmony and threatens to undermine the country's earlier achievements. Achievements have been considerable as well क्योंकि इंडिया का जो constitutional design है, it recognizes and responds to the distinct group claims, enables quality to hold together despite enormous religious, linguistic and cultural diversity. इंडिया का अगर आप पुराना performance देखोगे of identification, trust and support, its citizens are again deeply committed to the country and to democracy despite the country's diverse and highly stratified society. This performance is particularly impressive when compared with that of a long-standing and wealthier democracies. Challenges reinvigorating India's commitment to practices of pluralism, institutional accommodation, and conflict resolution. Critical for building a multicultural democracy is a recognition of the shortcomings of historical nation building exercises and of the benefits of multiple and complementary identities. Also important are efforts to build the loyalties of all groups in society through identification, trust, and support. National cohesion does not require imposition of a single identity and the denunciation of diversity, but successful strategies to build state nations can do accommodate diversity constructively by crafting responsive policies of cultural recognition. ठीक है. अच्छा. Now the regionalism in the Indian context. ठीक है. Regionalism in India is rooted in India's diversity of languages, cultures, tribes, and religions. ठीक है. It is encouraged by the geographical concentration of these identity markers in particular regions and fueled by a sense of regional deprivation also. Indian federalism has been a means of accommodating these regional sentiments. ठीक है. After independence, initially the Indian state continued with the British Indian arrangement, which is dividing India into large provinces, also called presidencies. ठीक है. So we had Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta were the three major presidencies. Incidentally, all three cities after which presidencies were named have changed their names recently. Madras it is Chennai, Bombay it is Mumbai, and Calcutta it is Kolkata. So these were large multi-ethnic and multilingual provincial states constituting the major political administrative units of a semi-federal state called Union of India. Soon after the adoption of constitution, all these units of colonial era had to be reorganized into ethno-linguistic states within Indian Union in response to strong popular agitations. Let's read this box again. Linguistic states helped strengthen Indian unity. Report of the States Reorganization Committee (SRC) was implemented on November 1, 1956 and helped to transform the political and institutional life of nation. इसका बैकग्राउंड कैसा है कि 1920s में आईएनसी ने ना इसको रिकंस्टिट्यूट किया था ऑन लिंग्विस्टिक लाइंस. Its provincial units now follow the logic of language, one for Marathi speaker, other for Oriya. At the same time, Gandhi and other leaders promised that जब भी freedom हमें मिलेगी, तब नया जो nation बनेगा, it would be based on new set of province, based on the principle of language. ठीक है. तो जब इंडिया फाइनली फ्री हुआ तो इट वाज आल्सो डिवाइडेड. अब जब ये लिंग्विस्टिक स्टेट्स का बनाने का जो पोस्टपोनमेंट हुआ, इट आस्क्ड फॉर द प्रॉमिस टू बी रिडीम, कि जब आपने प्रॉमिस किया था कि आप लिंग्विस्टिक स्टेट्स बनाओगे, वो प्रॉमिस को वो करो. तो कांग्रेस इस टाइम पे हेजिटेट कर रही थी. क्यों? क्योंकि द वेरी पार्टीशन, द कंट्री, हमारी जो कंट्री थी वो पार्टीशन के थ्रू इसलिए गई थी बिकॉज ऑफ इंटेंस अटैचमेंट टू वंस ओन फेथ, राइट. तो अगर हम वो दोबारा से लैंग्वेज के नाम पे वो कर देते, तो इट वुड हैव बीन अगेन क्वेश्चनेबल कि वापस से कुछ राइट्स वगैरह हो जाते. On the other side, the rank and file congressmen were all for redrawing the map of India in the lines of language. Vigorous movements arose among Marathi and Kannada speakers, then spread several different political regimes. The erstwhile Bombay and Madras presidencies, former prime princely states, जैसे Mysore and Hyderabad. The most militant process ensued from the very large community of Telugu speakers. Potti Srirar Mullu, I hope you have heard his name, in 1953. He was a former Gandhian. He died 7 weeks after beginning a fast and to death. His martyrdom provoked violent protests and led to the creation of the state of Andhra Pradesh, also led to formation of SRC in 1956, put the formal final seal of approval on the principle of linguistic states. ठीक है. Then 1950s में आते आते जो पीएम थे हमारे जवाहरलाल नेहरू, he feared that states based on language might hasten a further subdivision of India. So something like reverse happened actually में, क्योंकि far from undermining the Indian unity, linguistic states have helped strengthen it. ठीक है. It has proved to be perfectly consistent to be Kannadiga and Indian Bengali, Indian Tamil and Indian Gujarati and Indian. Now, to be sure that these states based on languages sometimes quarrel with each other, while disputes are not really pretty, but they could in fact have been worse. In the same year, 1956 के time पे SRC जो है it mandate the redrawing of the map of India on linguistic lines. ठीक है. The Parliament of Ceylon, Ceylon is Sri Lanka, proclaimed Sinhala the country's official sole language. So वहाँ पे protest चल रहे थे. मैंने अभी mention किया था ये example, ये was there in your class 10 textbooks as well. तो Tamils के protest चल रहे थे. One left-wing Sinhala MP issued a prophetic warning to the chauvinists. One language, two nations, he said, adding two languages, one nation. तो सिविल वॉर जो थी वो श्रीलंका में रेज हो गई थी 1983 based on the denial by major linguistic group of the rights of minority. Another of India's neighbors, Pakistan, was divided in 1971 again because the Punjabi and Urdu speakers of its western wing would not respect the sentiments of the Bengalis in the east. ठीक है. अच्छा, so language coupled with a regional and tribal identity and not religion has therefore provided the most powerful instrument for the formation of ethno-national identity in India. But this does not mean that all linguistic communities have got statehood. For instance, in the creation of 3 new states in 2000, Chhattisgarh, Uttaranchal and Jharkhand language did not play a prominent role. Rather, combination of ethnicity based on tribal identity, language, regional deprivation and ecology provided the basis for intense regionalism resulting in statehood. ठीक है. Currently, there are about 28 states, federal units, and 8 union territories within the Indian administrative system. ठीक है. अच्छा, तो यहाँ पे जब आप स्टेट की बात कर रहे हो ना, एक चीज देख लेना इस बुक में कैसे लिखा है. जब स्टेट कैपिटल में लिखा हो तो इट यूज टू डिनोट फेडरल यूनिट्स. जब इंडियन नेशन स्टेट लिखा है तो लोअर केस स्टेट इज यूज टू फॉर द ब्रॉडर कंसेप्चुअल कैटेगरी ऑफ स्टेट. ठीक है. रिस्पेक्टिंग regional sentiments is not just about creating states, it has to be backed with institutional structure as well that ensures their viability as a relatively autonomous unit within a larger federal structure. तो इंडिया में ये कैसे किया गया? By constitutional provisions. कैसे? Defining the power of states and the center list of subjects or areas of governance which are exclusively responsibility of either state or center, along with a concurrent list जहाँ पे दोनों एक साथ बैठ के ऑपरेट करते हैं. Okay. Right. Moving ahead. So the state legislatures determine the composition of the upper house of parliament, the Rajya Sabha. In addition, there are periodic committees and commissions that decide on center-state relation as well. Example, Finance Commission जो है, it is set up every 5 years to decide the sharing of tax revenues between center and state. Up to 2017, each 5-year plan also involved detailed state plans prepared by the State Planning Commission of each state. The goods and services tax (GST) includes state members also. Now, religion-related issues and identities. ठीक है? The most contentious of all aspects of cultural diversities are issues relating to religious communities and religion-based identities. These issues may be broadly divided into two related issues groups. पहला तो है secularism, communalism set, and the minority majority set. Questions of secularism and communalism are about the state's relationship to religion and to political groupings that invoke religion as a primary identity. Okay, and then questions about minority and majorities involve decision on how the state is to treat different religious, ethnic, or other communities that are unequal in terms of number or power. माइनॉरिटी राइट्स एंड नेशन बिल्डिंग की बात कर लेते हैं. इंडिया में नेशनलिज्म के टाइम पे डोमिनेंट ट्रेंड था कि dominant trend was obviously marked by an inclusive and democratic vision. ठीक है, inclusive because it recognized diversity and plurality, democratic because it sought to do away with the discrimination and exclusion and bring forth a just and equitable society, egalitarian society बनानी थी. The term people has not been used in exclusive terms as referring to any specific group defined by religion, ethnicity, race, or ideas, caste. Ideas of humanism influenced Indian nationalism, and the ugly aspects of exclusive nationalism were extensively commented upon by leading figures जैसे महात्मा गांधी and Rabindranath Tagore. ठीक है, अच्छा. To be effective, the ideas of inclusive nationalism had to be built into the constitution. Though there was a very strong tendency for the dominant group to assume that their culture, language, or religion is synonymous with nation state. However, for a strong democratic nation, special constitutional provisions are required to ensure कि minority के rights को भी particularly protect किया जाए. So a brief discussion on the definition of minorities will enable us कि हम कैसे safeguard करते हैं. Notion of minority group is widely used in sociology, and more than a merely numerical distinction, it usually involves some sense of relative disadvantage as well. Privileged minorities and such as extremely wealthy people are not usually referred to as minorities. हमारी sociology में the term is qualified in some way as in the phrase privileged minority. When minority is used without qualification, it generally implies a relatively small but also disadvantaged group. Sociological sense of minority also implies that the members of the minority form a collectivity, that is, they have a strong sense of group solidarity, a feeling of togetherness and belonging, and it is linked to disadvantage because the experience of being subjected to prejudice and discrimination usually heightens the feelings of intra-group loyalty and interest. See? Okay. Thus, groups that may be minorities in a statistical sense, such as people who are left-handed or people born on 29 February, are not really minorities in sociological sense because they don't form any collectivity. उनके अंदर कोई ऐसे इंट्रा ग्रुप की लॉयल्टी की भावना नहीं है. ठीक है. It is possible to have anomalous instances where a minority group is disadvantaged in one sense but not in another. For example, religious minorities like the Parsis and Sikhs may be relatively well off economically, but they may still be disadvantaged in a cultural sense because of their small numbers relative to the overwhelming majority of Hindus. Okay. Relative size and distribution of religious minorities. So we know that Hindu constitute an overwhelming majority in India. They number about 966 millions and account for 80% of the total population as per 2011 census. Hindu population is 4 times larger than the combined population of all other minorities, about 6 times larger than the largest minority group, Muslims. This can be misleading as well because Hindus are not a homogeneous group again, are divided by caste. Caste के अंदर भी further divisions हैं. Muslims are far by the greatest religious minority in India, numbered about 172 million people. 14.2% in 2011, scattered all over the country and constitute a majority in Jammu and Kashmir, have a sizable pockets in West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Kerala, Andhra, Karnataka, and Rajasthan. Christians constitute 2.3% to 27.8 million, scattered all over other pockets in northeastern states and southern states. 3 Christian majority states are all in northeast: Nagaland 88%, Mizoram 87%, Meghalaya 74%. Found in Goa and Kerala also. 6 constitute 1.7%, 21 million. Scattered across the country, concentrated in Punjab, the majority of 58%. Then you have Buddhists and Jains. Okay, the highest proportion of Buddhists is found in Sikkim, 27%, and Arunachal Pradesh in 12%, while among the largest states of Maharashtra, the highest share of Buddhists at 6%. ठीक है? Okay. Highest concentration of Jains are again found at Maharashtra and 1.3%, Delhi, Gujarat nearly 1% each. In the long years of struggle against British colonialism, Indian nationalists understood the imperative need to recognize and respect India's diversity. Indeed, unity in diversity becomes a shorthand to capture plural and diverse nature of Indian society. Discussions on minority and cultural rights mark many of the deliberations of the Indian National Congress and find final expression in the Indian Constitution. The makers of the constitution were very much aware that अगर अगर आपको एक strong nation बनाना है तो it could be only built जब सारे sections of people will have what freedom to practice their religion and to develop their culture and language. So B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of constitution, made this point very clear in the Constituent Assembly. So in the last 3 decades, I've witnessed how non-recognition of the rights of different groups of people in different in country can have grave implications for national unity as well. ठीक है? यहाँ पे you have a box by Ambedkar on protection of minorities. ठीक है? So he says कि minorities are an explosive force because if it erupts can blow up the whole fabric of the state. History of Europe bears ample and appalling testimony to this fact. Other is that the minority in India have agreed to place their existence in the hands of the majority. तो ये majority का वो बनता है कि you have to safeguard their rights. ठीक है? Coming to here this thing. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, Buddhist revivalist, jurist, scholar, political leader, chief architect of Indian Constitution, born in poor untouchable communities, spent his life fighting against untouchability and the caste system. Okay. One of the key issues that led to the formation of Bangladesh was the unwillingness of Pakistani state to recognize cultural and linguistic rights of people of Bangladesh. Okay. One of many contentious issues that formed the backdrop of ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka was again the imposition of Sonalis as a national language. तो जब आप कोई भी फोर्सेबल इम्पोजिशन करते हो या लैंग्वेज का या रिलीजन का ऑन एनी ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल it weakens the national unity which is based on the recognition of differences only. और इंडियन नेशनलिज्म हमेशा इस बात को रिकॉग्नाइज करती है और हमारा इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इस बात को रीअफर्म करता है. It is useful to note that the minorities exist everywhere, not just in India. Most nation states tends to be a dominant social group and nation state exclusively have a single homogeneous cultural group as well. Even where there is almost true, जैसे Iceland, Sweden, South Korea, modern capitalism, colonialism, and large-scale migration have brought in a plurality of groups. ठीक है? Even the smallest states will have minorities other in religious, ethnic, linguistic, or racial terms. So this is a thing, constitution वाला thing, very important thing. Question में आएगा ये Indian Constitution on minorities and cultural diversity. Article 29. Read this thing. Very simple to understand. Any section of the citizen residing in the territory of India or any part, they're having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. तो उनके पास अपना right conserve करने का है, right, of the direct language. No citizen shall also be denied in admission into any educational institution based on the fact which is maintained by the state, based on the fact कि वो किसी पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन रेस या एथनिक कम्युनिटी से बिलोंग करता है. 30 all minorities whether religion based on religion or language shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. State shall not in granting aid to educational institutions discriminate against any educational institution on the ground that it is under the management of a minority whether based on religion or language. Now we come to communalism, secularism and nation state. अगर हम कम्युनलिज्म की बात करें ना तो कम्युनलिज्म नॉर्मल बोलचाल की भाषा में रेफर्स टू अग्रेसिव शोविनिज्म बेस्ड ऑन रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी. शोविनिज्म क्या होता है? Do you guys need a break? I mean, you can always take a break whenever you want to pause it, but then I get a little tired of speaking continuously. I'll take a pause here for a moment or so. तो शोविनिज्म मीन्स कि जब आप इस बिलीफ में मानते हो कि आपकी कंट्री बाकियों से बेटर है या फिर ऑल्सो इट मीन्स कि मतलब व्हेन पीपल कंसिडर कि मेन आर बेटर देन वुमेन. ठीक है? तो कम्युनलिज्म है क्या? इट रेफर्स टू एन अग्रेसिव फॉर्म ऑफ शोविनिज्म बेस्ड ऑन रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी। इसमें यू हैव एन एटीट्यूड दैट सीज योर ओन पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप एज द ओनली लेजिटिमेट और वर्दी ग्रुप, एंड बाकी जो बाकी ग्रुप हैं दैट यू कंसिडर देम टू बी इंफीरियर, इलेजिटिमेट एंड अपोज। ठीक है, सिंप्लीफाई फर्दर, कम्युनलिज्म इज अगेन एन अग्रेसिव पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी लिंक टू रिलीजन। ठीक है, यहाँ आती है कट्टरपंथी। So this is particularly Indian or perhaps South Asian, meaning that it is different from the sense of ordinary English word. In the English language, communal means something related to a community or collectivity as different from an individual. English meaning is neutral, whereas the South Asian meaning is strongly charged. The charge may be seen as positive if only someone is sympathetic to communalism, or negative if one is opposed to it. अच्छा, so it is important to emphasize that communalism is about politics, not about religion. Although communalists are instantly involved with religion, there is no fact nor necessary relationship between personal faith and communalism. Communalist may or may not be a devout person, and devout believers may or may not be communalists. ठीक है, तो what do we mean by the word devout? Think about it. Devout, अगर आप थोड़ा मतलब सेंटेंस को देखोगे तो डिवाउट हियर मींस रिलीजियस पर्सन। ठीक है, सो कम्युनलिस्ट पर्सन मे बी डिवाउट पर्सन, मे नॉट बी अ डिवाउट पर्सन। ठीक है, ऑल कम्युनलिस्ट डू बिलीव इन अ पॉलिटिकल आइडेंटिटी बेस्ड ऑन रिलीजन। द की फैक्टर हियर इज द एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स दोज हु बिलीव इन अदर काइंड्स ऑफ आइडेंटिटीज इंक्लूडिंग अदर रिलीजन बेस्ड ऑन आइडेंटिटीज। ठीक है, communalists cultivate an aggressive political identity and are prepared to condemn or attack everyone who does not share their identity. यही है कट्टरपंथी। One of the characteristic feature of communalism is that it claims the richer religious identities overrides everything else. Whether one is poor or rich does not matter for them. It only matters is कि मेरा religion सबसे ऊपर है, अगर हम religious उसकी बात कर रहे हैं। ठीक है, so communalism is an especially important issue in India because it has been a recurrent source of tension and violence. Riots इसी वजह से होते हैं। Has had a history of communal riots from pre-independence times also, often as a result of what? As a result of this particular communalism. Communalism did not invent inter-community conflict. There is a long history of pre-colonial conflicts and certainly cannot be blamed for post-independence riots and killing. If you wish to look for instances of religious and ethnic religion, vagera, vagera, you can almost read that out in your history textbooks. But we should not forget that we have also a long tradition of religious pluralism and ranging from peaceful coexistence to actual intermixing or syncretism. ठीक है, now what do I mean by the term syncretism? I mean not I, but the book. What does the book mean? Syncretism is actually the blending of different religious beliefs or cultures or ideas to form a new system. If you remember, हमारी हिस्ट्री इस बात को प्रमोट करती है। अगर आप मुगल हिस्ट्री उठा के देखोगे और अकबर के उसमें देखोगे तो you will figure out कि he had this concept जहाँ पे everyone is going to follow what? One particular this thing जिसमें उसने सब कुछ कैसे अलग अलग अच्छी बातें ली थी हर रिलीजन की। ठीक है, सो वी हैव अ ट्रेडिशन ऑफ रिलीजियस प्लूरलिज्म रेंजिंग फ्रॉम पीसफुल कोएग्जिस्टेंस टू एक्चुअल इंटरमिक्सिंग और syncretism. The syncretic heritage is clearly evident in the devotional songs and poetry of the Bhakti and Sufi movements. Bhakti and Sufi movements, I mean, it's a part of history textbook only, but if you want to read, you can read that definitely. Part 2 of our history textbook. ठीक है, अच्छा, moving with forward with secularism. So secularism is among the most complex terms in social and political theory. Western context में देखें, the main sense of these terms has to do with separation of church and state. Separation of religious and political authority marked a major turning point in the social history of the West. Separation was related to the process of secularization of the progressive retreat of religion from public life. तो religion जो है वो public life से हट जाएगा, western notion में ये मानना था उनका, and this is what secularism means over there. ठीक है, because it was converted from a mandatory obligation to a voluntary personal practice. तो आप जो secularism है western sense में religion will only be a private personal matter and उसपे स्टेट कुछ उसे वो नहीं करेगा। तो स्टेट को हटा दिया उस चीज से, ठीक है। सेपरेशन ऑफ चर्च एंड स्टेट, सेकुलराइजेशन इन टर्न वाज related to arrival of modernity and rise of science and rationality as alternatives to religious ways of understanding the world. Indian meaning is different क्योंकि it includes the Western sense but also involves other as well. The most common use of secular in everyday language is the opposite of communal. So, secular person or state is that who does not favor any particular religion. Secularism in this sense is the opposite of religious chauvinism and it need not necessarily imply hostility to religion. ठीक है, तो वेस्टर्न सेंस में हॉस्टिलिटी दिखाते हैं, वो हॉस्टाइल है रिलीजन की तरफ। हमारे यहाँ वैसा नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ देयर इज अ स्टेट रिलीजन रिलेशनशिप बिकॉज वी हैव टू इंटरवीन एट टाइम्स जहाँ पे किसी ग्रुप के साथ बहुत हद तक डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रही है, जैसे अनटचेबिलिटी। द स्टेट हैड टू इंटरवीन इन द हिंदू practices so that they could actually protect a certain minority group, a certain group, not minority, but a certain group. This sense of secularism implies equal respect for all religion rather than separation or distancing. ठीक है, some complications have created by the tension between the Indian state's simultaneous commitment to secularism along with the protection of minority. Protection minorities requires that they have to be given special consideration in a context, right? जहाँ पे normal working of the political system places them at a disadvantage with the majority community, but providing such protection immediately invites the accusation कि state जो है उनके साथ favoritism कर रहा है या appeasement of minorities कर रहा है just to collect vote ना। वो स्टेट और पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को इंटरचेंजेबली यूज करते हैं, तो दे आल्सो से कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का ये फंडा है, माइट बी, बट स्टेट जो है, स्टेट का काम प्रोटेक्ट करना है उनको इंडियन सेंस में। तो ओपोनेंट्स आर्ग्यू दैट सेक्युलरिज्म ऑफ दिस सॉर्ट इज ओनली एन एक्सक्यूज टू फेवर द माइनॉरिटीज इन रिटर्न फॉर देयर वोट्स और एनी अदर काइंड्स ऑफ सपोर्ट। Supporters argue that without any such special protection, secularism can turn into an excuse for imposing majority communities' values and norms on the minority. Now, state and civil society. ठीक है, you have talked much about state. अब let's talk about state and civil society in depth. The state is indeed a very crucial institution when it comes to the management of cultural diversity in a nation. Although it claims to be representing a nation, the state can also be somewhat independent of the nation and its people to the extent that state structure, the legislature, the bureaucracy, the judiciary, and the armed forces आई डोंट नो यार, मेरा पेन यहाँ पे आके ना अटक जाता है। ये जो आर्म फोर्सेस इधर लिखा है ना, आई रियली डोंट नो व्हाई इट हैपेंस बट okay. Police and other forms of arms of state become insulated from the people. It also has the potential of turning authoritarian. Authoritarian state क्या होता है? It is the opposite of a democratic state जहाँ पे लोगों के पास ऐसे कोई voice नहीं होगी and those in power are not accountable to anyone. ठीक है? Authoritarian state often limits or abolishes civil liberties जैसे freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of political activity, right to protection from wrongful use of authority, right to the due processes of the law. So, apart from authoritarianism, there is also the possibility that state institutions become unable to or willing to respond to the needs of people because of corruption, inefficiency, and lack of resources. इसका एग्जाम्पल आपने अपनी पॉल साइंस की टेक्स्ट बुक में देखा होगा कहाँ पे, बिफोर गॉर्बेचेव का रिफॉर्म यूएसएसआर में आपने देखा था, ठीक है। ठीक है, इन शॉर्ट देयर आर मेनी रीजंस व्हाई स्टेट मे नॉट बी ऑल दैट इट शुड बी. Non-state actors and institutions become important in this context. They can keep a watch on the state and protect. ठीक है, civil society is a name given to a broad arena. Definition है ये, civil society is a name given to a broad arena which lies beyond the private domain of the family but outside the domain of both state and market. Civil society is a non-state and non-market part of the public domain in which individuals get together voluntarily to create institutions and organizations. ठीक है, sphere of active citizens, here individuals take up social issues, try to influence the state or make demands on it, pursue the collective interest or seek support for a variety of causes. ठीक है, it consists of voluntary associations, organizations, and institutions. ठीक है, includes political parties, media institutions, trade unions, non-governmental organization. The main criteria for inclusion in civil society are that organization should not be state controlled and it should not be purely commercial profit making entity. Today, the activities of civil society organizations have even a wider range, including advocacy and lobbying activity with national and international agencies, as well as an active participation in various movements. The issues taken up are diverse, ranging from tribal struggles for land rights, devolution in urban governance, campaigns against rape and violence against women, rehabilitation of those displaced by dams and other developmental projects, fishermen's struggle against mechanized fishing, and rehabilitation of hawkers and pavement dwellers. कैंपेन्स अगेंस्ट स्लम डिमोलिशंस फॉर हाउसिंग सिव, तो ये सारी चीजें प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. Civil liberties organizations have been particularly important in keeping a watch on the state and force it to obey the law. Media too has taken an increasingly active role, especially its emergent visual and electronic segments. Most significant in recent initiatives is the Campaign for the Right to Information (RTI), beginning with an agitation in rural Rajasthan for the release of information on government funds spent on village development. This effort grew into a nationwide campaign. Despite the resistance of the bureaucracy, the government was forced to respond to the campaign and pass a new law formally acknowledging the citizens' RTI. अच्छा, ऊपर आओ, ये वाला बॉक्स देखो. तो आरटीआई जो था, it was Right to Information Act 2005, Act number 22 2005 is the law enacted by Parliament of India giving Indian access to government records. Under the terms of Act, any person may request information from a public authority, a body of government or instrumentality of state, which is expected to reply expeditiously within 30 days. ठीक है. Act also requires every public authority to computerize their records for wide dissemination and to proactively publish certain categories of information so that the citizens need minimum recourse to request for information formally. Has passed on 15 June 2005 and came into force on 13 October 2005. Was hitherto restricted by the Official Secrets Act 1923. New RTI now overrides, ठीक है, तो have a right to request any information, take copies of documents, inspect documents, work on records, take certified samples of material or work, obtain information in the form of printout, diskettes, floppy tapes, video cassettes on any electronic mode. And here we complete the chapter. ठीक है. तो जो सिलेबस में है आपके जो 4 चैप्टर्स ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी वाली बुक, वो तो चारों चैप्टर्स हमने कर लिए हैं. Now we have to do the book 2. Book 2 I will cover after some days. I hope you understood this chapter.